It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our daily gun show. We come to you live every day at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's 4 Pacific. For about an hour or 90 minutes every day. We do 3 gun-related topics each day, different topics throughout the week. Then we do all our stuff that we like to hit daily. We run it live on YouTube, and we simulcast it over at gunchannels.com. We're watching the live comments that are coming in from people watching us while we're live on Gun Channels, and also over at YouTube. When it's all over, we'll let it render into a video, and we'll take the audio from that and post it as a podcast on iTunes. So we encourage anybody that's listening to the show, either now or in the future, to give us a thumbs up on the video, to give us some feedback on the podcast, to let us know on whatever social media platform you're at, where you are. And all those efforts help to get the show recommended to more viewers, more listeners. We do appreciate that favor. There's a bunch of hosts. 4 of us are here today. We've got Dano jumping in from Illinois. Thanks for joining.
Yep, thanks. I almost said thanks for being here. Thanks for allowing me in.
Thanks for the audience for being here. I see some new names on the Gun Channel side. That's cool. Then we got, let's see, Smeggy jumping in from Michigan. Thanks for joining.
Yeah. Thanks for being here, G-Webs. I really appreciate that you showed up today.
Yeah, thanks. And then we got jumping in from the Maui.
Oh, aloha.
I'm down here in Arizona, and we don't know where Bob is. So we think he's alive, but we don't know. So let's see. Today is episode 253. We're going to be talking about CCW. We're going to be talking about entertainment, and we're going to have our tactical quiz. At any moment, we can have our tactical pop quiz, and of course, all our daily things. But before we dig into all that, we usually take a break at the beginning to see if anything happened overnight that might have been worth talking about. Anything good?
Sure, it was a stellar hit or miss last night.
It was a good hit or miss. Talked about some, some anti-gun articles that we're talking about. When I think we've mentioned it in this show before, but like the permits that they want to raise up to like $300 instead of $70, and I forget some other things, some like anti-gun news articles that we went over, and other than that, just normal hit or miss.
And then I think Big Gunner was sick yesterday.
Yes, that's correct. He didn't do a show last night.
I don't think anything much happened in the news. At least if it did, I hadn't heard about it. I've been running all around, so I haven't heard anything break into the radio stations or anything with cutting news. So I'm guessing it's been a quiet.
Oh, what? NASA was supposed to announce something today. I never saw an announcement
About the 7 Earth-sized planets, or something different.
Is that what it was? They said before, they're like, we're going to announce some, groundbreaking stuff tomorrow, and I never saw what they announced. So they just found some Earth-sized planets. Whoop-de-doo. We already know of like hundreds of them.
Well, Earth-sized planets also, I think Earth-like.
In the Goldilocks zone?
No.
Oh.
Delta Quadrant.
Whatever. I'll look it up. I guess it's not proof of aliens like some people suggested. I figured it'd be a little more in the news if it was they found it life.
That'd be pretty cool, though.
Do you think NASA has anything to do with the aliens, though?
What do you mean?
I figured it'd be the Air Force or something.
Dude, don't you realize that NASA is sort of part of the Air Force?
They're not, though. They're
kind of are.
Well, they're not. They don't have the facilities that I'm aware of to handle aliens. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I don't think
that's what they want you to think, dude.
Well, it doesn't matter because they didn't say anything. But I would think if they were talking aliens, it'd be like, oh, we found this planet that's 1,000 light years away that has signatures of life. Like there's things you can look in the atmosphere, and if you find chemicals that are normally unstable, and if they're at a certain percentage, like oxygen is actually one of them. Oxygen doesn't stay in the atmosphere without life making it.
So like if
above a certain concentration.
That's a sign of life.
Kind of, yeah.
Sign of carbon. life.
But anyways, I think we can get going in the show. I'm sorry I derailed it on NASA. I was just curious if anyone knew what the announcement was.
Well, it's probably a good time to let people know that we are changing direction of the show again, and we're going to be doing just space-related things from now on.
Oh, are you serious? That's awesome. I'm in.
It'd be kind of cool. But speaking of,
I love space.
guns are kind of 2016 anyway.
Well, you can use guns in space. You just go flying backwards the other way.
Just ask the Russians.
Hello, space guns, dudes. Come on.
Lack of oxygen.
We're the Russians.
Doesn't have to be fire or what do you call it? Gunpowder based. Jeez, like you've never seen a laser beam before.
I thought gunpowder had an oxidizing agent in it, so it can be fired in a vacuum.
I mean, whether we're talking the black hole, we're talking Star Wars, Star Trek, whatever, man.
The Russians were the first to have a firearm in space. Why do you ask? In case they landed in Siberia and came across a polar bear before help came.
No, I
Well,
think it was for aliens.
They were for Russian brown bears, not polar bears, but bears nonetheless.
Oh,
tell
they have
Dan
polar
was
bears
telling-
up there too.
I don't know if Dan was telling us old trivia or if he's telling us trivia that hasn't happened yet. Anyway. So let's dig into the show, huh?
I think so.
All right.
So we got CCW topic first. Hybrid holsters. I'm assuming. Well, I don't want to.
That's hybrid as opposed to hybrid. I don't know if that makes a difference.
I think we know what he means.
I say it with an I. Is it supposed to be with an E?
No, it's supposed to be with an I.
He says a lot of things that are like one off, but I just kind of like let it go.
So
I have no experience with the hybrid holsters. How about somebody start dispensing with some facts?
are we talking nylon plastic? Are we talking metal? Leather?
No.
Are we talking leather? Nylon?
Hybrid.
I would think leather Kydex is the most common hybrid holster,
Now,
but there are other options.
remember a lot of leather nylon that was both the awesomest thing some people had seen and the worst thing some people had seen back in the 90s gun shows.
Well, isn't there a hybrid that has neoprene in it as well now?
Well, there's definitely neoprene
Nope.
holster. Yeah.
I guess not.
You keep saying stuff right as we're saying stuff, so I'm pretty sure you're saying stuff like under us or something. So something's definitely weird. Maybe you have a lag, Dana?
I don't know.
Maybe try refreshing, but we hear you saying stuff. It's just that you always start right as we're talking. That's why I'm thinking there's a lag.
Okay.
Anyhow, what are you saying? Oh, he left. So
hybrid holsters. I don't have any experience with
first
them, but I like the idea of them.
the first holsters were leather, right? We can all agree on that, or no?
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
So I was going to say the first hybrids then are got to be leather, cotton, or leather. What's that material called that they make tarps out of? Right? There's a name for that material. You know, like canvas. So there's probably some
Canvas.
sort of like leather mixed with something else back in the day for comfort and concealability, right? So I think I'm assuming hybrid holsters been around since like the first holsters.
Yeah, but they didn't call them hybrid holsters back then, right?
No, yeah, I'm sure though they had to say I want a leather one or I want that leather and fill in the blank. Now I guess the first question is, do you consider when you started putting metal clips on them, is that hybrid or is that just a clip?
That's just a clip.
Okay. Go ahead, Daniel.
No, it's a clip. It's when they went from, as an example, an all leather taco holster to leather and something else. Like as an example, I have a leather and Kydex holster, which is considered a hybrid holster, and that's what I normally wear from Concealment Solutions. And the Kydex gives it that lockup that you're kind of looking for out of an all Kydex holster, although not quite as tight, and the leather gives you a whole lot more comfortable feel against your skin. And I really like it. And for inside the waistband, it is that I've had since almost the beginning. And although I've tried other holsters in the meantime, I always end up going back to that for inside the waistband, is the hybrid, leather and Kydex.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like the idea of it.
I think
it seems like it'd be more comfortable, but you know, I have an inside the waistband all Kydex and it works fine. It's comfortable enough, but I've always kind of worried. So I'll ask you, Daniel, since you have experience with it. They're normally a lot like wider because the leather is like a big chunk of leather, and then they put the little Kydex piece on. Is that like annoying? Like you get hot because like half of your side is all covered with leather?
That style was exactly where it was a larger piece of leather to disperse the weight over a larger area of your body, so that it wouldn't feel, you wouldn't have all that weight on a smaller piece. But then a lot of people had complained and had suggested that they have, that it was, too big. So now they have basically two variations: the original version and then a much smaller version, which is roughly just slightly larger than the outline of your firearm, and then has the Kydex outer shell on it. And instead of having two clips to hold it onto your waist belt, you only need one in most cases if you're going with the smaller piece of leather. But it also depends on where you live. If you live in a place like, southern Texas, Arizona, having leather on your skin all day long, if you're outside, is not going to be a great combination because of the sweating. Or if you have the body type that just doesn't work well with leather. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, that does answer my question. That's Tac Daddy's out there in the chat saying he's sold hundreds of the Nate Square Tactical, which is the neoprene and Kydex, and he's had one return. So obviously the other hundreds that have gone out, I would assume people have liked.
Right, and that's where it comes down to personal preference. Whether it's a neoprene, such as Tac Daddy mentioned, or leather, or something else. There are all sorts of options out there for where you live geographically, as well as your body type, and then of course just personal preferences in general. That will determine which hybrid holster might be best suit you.
Oh, and apparently I won a Nate Squared Tactical holster from Tac the other day. I forgot about that. He had mentioned it in the chat earlier. So I'm gonna have to write him an email.
Maybe it's stuck in the same package as that.
Hey now. So anyways, but yeah, so I think that it's a good idea trying to kind of get the best of both worlds. So I'd recommend if someone's either new to carry or just open to new ideas, maybe give it a try, see if you like it. I think they're pretty much, it's for inside the waistband. Like I don't know of hybrids that are designed for outside the waistband. Doesn't really seem to have much advantage if you're doing that. Not
at all, because you have it's now resting against your pants. So you don't need that cushion, that pad at all.
Yeah, so it doesn't really matter.
So whether you have a Kydex holster outside the waistband or a nylon holster outside the waistband, they're all going to be similar in comfort. Now, I've also heard of places using unusual materials in their for people that are have more discriminating taste, I think is the phrase. Whether it'll be alligator hide or ostrich skin or other things, rather than necessarily just straight leather. Or they'll put, depending on the type of hide, they may put that on top of the leather.
That's almost all they ever do. You put cow first, and then you just skin it with, or you layer it with whatever the exotic hide is.
Right.
Or
yeah, I kind of assumed that the exotic stuff was a little bit on the thin side to do it all on its own. So anybody else have or ever even try a hybrid holster?
Yeah, so number one, what you consider a hybrid holster is a very narrow view of it. So let's go back to, again, way more options than just Kydex and leather. And what you're talking about is the inside the waistband kind, where they put the big, well, you're saying to distribute weight. I guess there's lots of different reasons to put that piece of leather there, but you can put leather and nylon together. So none of y'all remember nylon and leather holsters. Because I guess you guys said that you wouldn't wear it outside the waistband. You're neglecting tons of holsters.
Well, I'm just not familiar with them, so.
So the disadvantages of leather, I guess, is that it's weather resistance, and then the advantages, so anyway, they took the characteristics and the advantages and disadvantages of the materials, and they put them together to, like, the belt loops or the part that holds the gun or whatever would either still look like a standard uniform thing, or maybe again be able to handle weather better, because this was still before plastics and stuff. But there was definitely other hybrid holsters out there is what I'm trying to get at. And then are we going to count things like a belly band with something sewn to it, or like a t-shirt with something sewn to it as hybrids, or are we talking just actual holsters that are...
Well, I don't know. Are those made out of like two different materials? I thought the belly band was all like the same material. It just had like a pocket in it.
There are, but then there's belly bands that basically they put Kydex on them now and stuff, so you can get that still that.
Oh, well, that would count.
So it doesn't, turn into a collapsible pocket like a normal belly band might.
Yeah, I think that type is, if it has something like Kydex on it, would definitely be a hybrid.
So I think your advantage of your Kydex shell then is that it keeps it open. So wherever you might be sticking this holster for deep concealment or whatever, you've got a way to reholster without having to use two hands or poke the muzzle into you or something.
Yeah, that's definitely an advantage with Kydex, is the reholstering point of view. And I think in some way, like, lock up as well. Like, it kind of clicks into place. Although I know if you have a snug fitting, just regular like leather holster, that it has good retention as well. Right.
But then again, unless you have a reinforced mouth with a leather holster, or they treat it somehow, it's a lot of times difficult to get the mouth to stay open for consistent reholstering. If you're at the range, draw, shoot once or twice, reholster, draw, shoot once or twice, reholster.
Well, that's the kind of thing too that you'd want the different materials, right? So leather is going to fatigue after a while, and it's just going to not be, it's not going to hold its shape, and it's going to collapse. Where Kydex doesn't really do that. It's gone, it's used up by the time it starts to break or whatever. All right, well, that one seems dead in the water. We've had enough dead air there to move on to the next topic, I guess. Is there anything else for hybrid holsters? We're not selling them to you, so I guess we're just talking about them and maybe giving people some ideas for conversations at the gun shop or at the range or at on the local, or on the live chats like later on.
Well, just for the point of conversation, G-Webs, if I were to ask you, if I was a stranger to you on the street and you were willing to talk about it, what would you say would be the pros to a hybrid holster versus what are some of the cons?
Well, the pros, like I said, being able to take advantage of the characteristics of the materials, right? So you don't have to stick with leather and have to deal with any disadvantages of leather. And then now with I guess more people using them for concealed carry and stuff than just the advantage, like say having a Kydex shell that holds the gun and probably also retains it, right? Those Kydex parts usually are the part that holds it off the trigger guard or something, or maybe the light. Having that feature of the holster, I think, is an advantage over having like a thumb strap or something. And well, we just talked about redrawing or reholstering, so I think those are the advantages, just being able to take the best parts of the holsters that have happened and stick them together. The worst parts is the kind you're talking about for sure, and most of the other ones are huge, like they're obnoxiously large, so you have to get over that hurdle that you're going to buy one and wear it. And then even though people say they don't take up a lot of space, you have to deal with how much space they take up on you.
Yeah, that's the thing that I've noticed about it. I figure like the front part of it would be, I don't know, like around at like 1:30, 2 o'clock ish, and then the back part would be at like 5:30, 6 o'clock on me. So,
right. And that's where body type comes into play, and it's an extremely important factor as far as, are you too thin to, I don't want to say too thin, but you don't, have enough space to where it's going to fit properly.
No, I don't know. I think everybody's different for sure in the way that they wear their pants and the type of pants that they wear and the shape of your gut and your, whatever is interfacing with your gun, wherever it is you're sticking it. So these ones that are a big giant piece of leather or neoprene or something that are, like you keep saying, to distribute the weight so that you're not carrying the weight on your belt at the gun, you're carrying it in front of the gun and behind the gun. And then it also breaks up the bulk because now that clip isn't, you and then the gun and then the rest of the holster and then your pants and then the clip. Now it's, in front and behind, on your belt and then behind it on your belt. So as far as sitting down and having whatever you want to call your gut jabbing into that, is that really better than just having it jab into your gun? I guess my only experience is having the gun jab into me, and I'm perfectly fine with my gun jab it into me because then I know my gun is there all the time. And I mean, I guess I've never worn my gun long enough for it to jab me and like create a sore or something. So I'm saying, is it really that comfortable, or is because it seems like it would be putting a lot of material into your pants?
I'm holding up my hybrid holster, which is what I wear pretty much every day.
You barely tell because of the lack of lighting.
Yeah, there's not enough light really in here to really show it well, but you can kind of get an idea of the width of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's huge.
But this is extremely comfortable on my body, and I really like it a lot. And the other thing is these things don't weigh that much. I mean, so it's not like, you've got 3 pounds hanging off your hip or something.
True, but I guess I was concerned that just because they exist, they're there, and they're on your side, basically where your seatbelt is in the car and stuff. It's not annoying. I would figure it just like be, I don't know, like jamming the ankle.
Yeah. For any sort of hip carry is gonna, whether it's inside or outside, regardless of holster type. If you have it on your hip, it's gonna suck when you put that seatbelt on as far as getting access to it. Which is why, if for car carry, you have to look for some alternative way to carry it other than hip carry. Which is why, and I have, when I'm driving, I typically vest carry.
I just don't bother with those pesky seatbelts,
Oh, dude, that's $100 ticket here.
I know it's probably a ticket here too, and I'm just joking. I do wear my seatbelt.
Somewhere between $100 in your life.
As long as you put your seatbelt on before the cop gets up to your car, then you don't get the ticket.
That is not how that works. If they see you without the seatbelt on, that's enough right there. Even if you put it on while they're approaching the car.
And not to derail, but my buddy got a ticket for not wearing a seatbelt when he was wearing a seatbelt. And the cop said,
Nice.
Yeah, go ahead and prove it. I mean, they straight up was just a bad cop. But anyways, that's derailing the conversation.
Hey, at least he didn't pull him out of the car and shoot him face down in the street. I mean, you say bad cop. I mean, if all he did was give him a seatbelt ticket, it's not really that bad.
Yeah, I want to know what your friend was doing to deserve that kind of...
Yeah, he drew a little bit of attention to himself doing something.
Not that I know of, but he was a kid driving at night that in the cop's eyes should have been drunk, and when he wasn't drunk, he had to get a ticket for something.
Well, I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but I'm saying that does not have anything to do with the CCW, unless we are talking about the seatbelts.
Nor the hybrid holster.
Hey, how come they never, I'm going to give this away for free. Well, how come nobody just puts their clip-on holster on the freaking seatbelt?
Well, that might seem like a thing to do, but are you talking on the lap belt that goes like, on the lap, or are you talking the chest part that goes up over your shoulder?
Chest.
So then you're talking like the metal clip that would normally hold the inside the waistband gun?
Yep.
Or holster?
Just, you know what I'm saying? Just a little metal clip thing that's on there.
Yeah, so that
like
metal
spring clip or whatever it is?
That little clip is there when you're wearing an inside the waistband, in my experience at least, to like keep it on your pants when you are taking a poop or something, or like changing clothes. But like when you engage your belt and put your pants on, the holster's staying there because it ain't coming out because it's in your pants.
Because of the pants.
Yeah, the little
Right.
clip
It's
thing is
literally-
inconsequential. So that's why I don't understand
It's
why some of these places put so much effort into the clips on them, because the clip doesn't do anything except keep it from like falling out of your pants when your pants are off. So anyhow, I think that you would have no tension on that clip, and I don't wear my shoulder strap tight enough that it would be a good anchor point for a holster.
I see what you're saying.
In the worst case, if you don't have good retention, if you just got a sloppy holster that's open and only holds the gun in because of the tension of your body and your belt, then when it's outside of your body and your belt, right, when it's just in the holster, there's no reason for the gun to stay in there. So if you stop short or you had to turn really fast, I would think the gun would go flying.
Well, I guess it depends on what it is. Like because it's a Kydex holder, it's not really holster.
No,
excuse me.
like my one from Zona Holsters, since we're all talking about where we got our holsters. Zona Holsters here in Tucson, good friend of mine, made my holster for me, and it does have a bit of retention on the light, I guess, on mine. So, and sometimes on the trigger guard. So that sticking it in the shoulder strap actually probably wouldn't be too bad, because that plastic thing is pretty strong. And because the gun ain't going anywhere out of that holster unless you pull it out of there, I'd be more concerned that when you pulled on the grip of the gun, that the holster would just come with it, because the retention of my holster.
And that was one thing that I was thinking about when I was thinking about it originally. I'm like, how come nobody came up with this? Well, because the seatbelt only goes tight when it gets the jerk, right? You know what I'm saying? When
right.
If you stop quickly or whatever, that's the only time when it does it. The rest of the time, yeah, you might be pulling on it and it's gonna, all of a sudden you got the seatbelt and it's in the other, passenger side almost already.
In addition to it being loose normally, it also is much too thin to really get a hold of. Which is like what G was talking about. You pull on the gun and you get the gun and the holster.
Right, it's nowhere near as the safety belt, seat belts are nowhere near as thick as a belt. Plus, if you talk to a doctor or somebody, we'd probably be talking about putting it on the outside of the seat belt, because if you put it on the inside of the seat belt on your chest or something, you might just be breaking a rib. If you got an accident, I mean.
Right. Well, technically, couldn't you break a pelvis then? If you left it at 3 o'clock or something?
Yeah, when it's next to you, I don't think so much. At least I don't think I remember seeing. I've never seen anything to say like, here's an area for concern.
And I was gonna say, it's easier to break a rib than it is your pelvis. I mean, that's a fact. So yeah, I can see what you're saying.
But I mean, that's still stretching. How often do people get into accidents, let alone have the seatbelt, be in a position where, and then have a gun in between there? So
if anything, maybe if you're like appendix carrying and then you got that seatbelt coming across, you might do more internal damage, because you're going to kind of jab your gun into your gut. But I don't know if you break anything in there.
I thought everybody that appendix carried was a young hipster and they don't have driver's licenses yet.
So for a car carry, does that mean you should have a drop leg? Drop leg?
Mm-hmm.
Or have something mounted like on the console of your car or something.
Or vest carry. Therefore, wherever you go, that gun goes.
I would honestly not be too concerned. You have a gun on your side. I mean, unless there's some scourge of people running up and people in your vehicle.
No kidding.
I mean, I guess if you lived or drove through an area where there's carjackings and you...
Like the hills have eyes type of stuff? Or just like all of a sudden you didn't know you were driving into a riot?
Well, that you can't...
Or like the carjacking capital of the world, Detroit?
Well, okay, that's different then. Then I might ankle carry, but I'm just saying, I don't think that we're realistically talking about something that's... I mean, we're talking about a low chance that anyone's ever going to need to use a gun, thankfully. It's even a lower chance that you need to use it in your vehicle. And then I can't even imagine how low it is that you have to draw from sitting in your thing with your seatbelt on. Because that means your car's moving.
And I'm with Jimmy. I would almost like to have a shoulder rig in the car.
Well, and that's why I realize I'm the only one that keeps saying vest carry. But it's a
we
one.
Just you had Alzheimer's, and
nobody else wears a vest, for one thing.
That would be the main reason.
Okay, but if you decide to wear a vest, that it's a way of carrying that you don't have to worry about whether you're sitting or standing, or whether you're going into a grocery store or not, it is always with you.
I don't.
And it is always concealed.
Being from
You don't have to worry about that gun that's mounted to my side console in the car. Somebody seeing it while I'm inside the grocery store, breaking a window and grabbing it.
Well, it's because you take it out of the console and it's only there while you're driving it and you carry it. But I hear what you're saying. And I think you have to be 55 and over to get the vest card. I'm not sure.
I mean, I sombrero carry because I'm out here in the Southwest, but I don't ever bring that up because I figure nobody else, it wouldn't be appropriate for other people.
But you also carry salsa in there, and it works as a chip and dip tray. So it's not just
when you're having your siesta, you can use it for shade, or you can use it as a pillow.
Well, isn't it made out of chips? And then
Who
you
brought
put the salsa in the middle part?
And who said it was my turn?
Dano, we always love volunteers around here, buddy.
Yeah. Ouch.
Oh, all right. So we're going to move on to another topic. I feel like whatever we did to hybrid holsters there happened.
I'm calling a timeout.
What is this? We're just going to do this now, like as the second. We're not ever going to get to the second segment of the show anymore.
Well, if we didn't take a half hour to get through the first segment, we probably wouldn't.
Yeah, we'd already be, halfway through the second part. But now that we're here and it's time for the tactical pop quiz of the day, those of you on YouTube, go ahead and make sure your fingers are limber. Get your cursor down in the text box. Get ready to type your answer. Those of you over on Gun Channels, do the same. And it's going to be a two-part answer today. So be ready for that, a two-part answer. So the question is as follows, and I'm going to read it twice. And this one was submitted by Angry American. So thank you, Angry. We greatly appreciate it. So the question is as follows. Name two NRA members who were also U.S. presidents. Name two NRA members who were also U.S. presidents.
What?
And there were actually a handful of presidents who were NRA members, so you only need to think up two of them.
Yes.
You got a pretty good chance.
Maybe Wednesday questions are just too tough. Hold on. Nope. Yes. No. Yes. Sean Callanan. Sean Callanan on the other side is what I saw first. He said Teddy Roosevelt, George Bush Jr.
That's what I seen.
Okay. Because
they have KLBJ. Does that work?
Well, no.
Okay.
John from YouTube, is that who the winner is?
Yes, I believe it is. Sean Callanan.
Congratulations. The answers, the presidents who have been were Grant, Teddy Roosevelt, Taft, Eisenhower, Kennedy, Reagan, H.W. Bush, and of course, the current President Trump.
Oh, so wait. Oh, man, we totally messed that up.
How so?
Well, because Herbert Walker Bush is the dad, not the son.
Right.
You don't think both Bushes? I can't imagine how LBJ wasn't in the NRA.
Well, LBJ is not a Bush.
I know, but I'm just
saying.
But
Dead Horse is the one that said George Bush Sr. and Jr.
Well, I thought we were going with Teddy Roosevelt and George Bush Jr.
Yes.
I thought both Bushes were in there.
I believe it's, again, how about we Google real quick?
Find out if.
Just to double check, even though we thought it was. But I'm still standing by the original and that it was Sean on YouTube.
I'm going to channel Bob and go ahead and say, suck it up, Buttercup. But some of you other people might also be right.
George Sr.
No.
Resigned from the NRA.
That's why we're looking for W. not HW. Reason I'm asking that is because that's what the person answered.
Well, no, I'm trying to do a quick search, and somehow I'm hitting sites that say they have the answer that don't have the answer.
Yeah, it's overwhelmed with his dad resigning from the NRA. I can't find anything about that dude. What do you say? A.G. Bush? Or G.W. Bush? What's his initials?
HW is Herbert Walker, and that's
Yeah.
the dad.
I can't do W. Still can't do W. Even if you hit it really hard. Anyway, I don't know what to do with this one. There's no way I can't get any info from Google either. So we have to do Suck It Up Buttercup, and whatever we said was the winner was the winner.
Yep.
Sean.
Yep. Mr. Callahan, that makes you the technical pop quiz hot shot for today. Good job.
Maybe we should learn a lesson and not do things that are, number one, not known, and number two, have like 5 or 6 different things in them, and 2 of which are initials in front of the word Bush, and I'm dyslexic, so I thought both Bushes were in there too. So I think that was a tough one for all the way around, right?
Well, I will definitely go back through our email and come forward when I have the information available.
Now, of course, the NRA did support George W. So I can't imagine him not being. That's the whole thing. I just can't imagine him not being an NRA member. I just don't see it. But anyway, moving on.
Right on. So that's the second segment of the show. So we're going to be talking about entertainment, one of the best things ever. We gave ourselves about 5 minutes to talk about it now. Guns of the 1970s, gun movies of the 1970s. But before we do, we're going to talk about one of the members over at Gun Channels, because we built Gun Channels a couple years ago. It's a community focused on firearms, and it's completely driven by its membership. We like to feature one of them every day. And all 3 of y'all are not muted, so somebody's causing an echo. Today we're talking about Never Enough Ammo. I think this week we're talking about people that do shows and trying to line them up on the days that they do the shows. So we're talking about Never Enough Ammo because he does a show tonight. It's Wednesday night. It'll be his gun show. I think he starts up pretty close after this one's over, depending on how late we run. He'll start up, and he's been doing this show for many years now. Good friend of mine via the internet. I don't think I've ever actually met him yet. And one of the reasons we built Gun Channels, because we were always hanging out in his chats. Literally everybody that built Gun Channels was hanging out in his chats, and YouTube started to dink around. And because of that camaraderie that Matt helped create and foster, a group of us got together and said, let's continue that even in spite of YouTube's shenanigans. And we created Gun Channels, and for better or worse, we're now a couple of 4 years into it. And we're looking back, and we're saying thanks to Matt for being the inspiration. I know that Matt is a regular person. I know that because I know him, and he's not making a bunch of money from anybody, really. He's barely getting anything. It doesn't even come close to paying for the amount of time he puts into it. So he's just literally doing it because he enjoys it. And I think the content he creates reflects that. There's certainly nobody's going to pay him to do those, F-off videos and stuff that he does. And that's real life. So I think that the best thing about the internet, this new media, is that we get a glimpse of other people's real people, and not character necessarily. I mean, sure, there's characters out there, but we get a glimpse of real people. And Matt is consistently, tirelessly, literally, he'll do it when he's sick. I mean, there's very rarely that he doesn't run his shows. He's a great example of that. So I literally, when I talk about building Gun Channels to inspire people to do that kind of stuff, Matt is one of the people I think about doing it, again, without really any rewards. I mean, he must be getting something from YouTube, but I mean, we can talk money sometime in a Gun Channels University. It's not significant money. It's not enough to barely pay for a couple of range sessions. Typically, again, I don't know exactly how much he's making, but it is by no means a car payment, or probably even for him like a cable payment. it's like he's doing this because he enjoys it, and that's an inspiration to me to keep doing what I'm doing. So it's if I'm doing it, Gun Channels is here, and it's because of Matt, or it's in a big way because of what Matt does. So I'm hoping that when we do these, we go back and we feature people. It's gets people that are out there listening to the show, not necessarily for the first time, but we got 30-something people listening right now. Another couple of hundred people will listen to this later. If you're just looking for entertainment, that's awesome. But if you've ever thought about creating stuff or being part of the accumulation of data that's going to be created, with this internet, then look to Matt. He's definitely doing it his way. And anyway, that's what we feature people every day. And I don't think we feature Matt enough. He's a heck of a good guy. Anyway, He'll be on in about an hour or something like that.
If I can cut in for administrational purposes, I put a link out both on YouTube as well as Gun Channels in regards to the tactical pop quiz of the day. And let me just read one sentence. 8 U.S. presidents have been NRA members. In addition to Grant, they are Theodore Roosevelt, William Howard Taft, Dwight D. Eisenhower, John F. Kennedy, Ronald Reagan, and George H.W. Bush, who resigned in 1995. That is courtesy of wikipedia.org. So unless that website is wrong, which it may be, the answer that we have today is indeed correct.
Right on. Well, we know that it's wrong because it doesn't include Trump, right?
Well, we know that it's dated. Yes.
Well, then it's wrong because Trump's been our president for a while now, and it's supposed to be instantaneous if there's editors out there. So it's something that the editors aren't paying attention to, I guess, is an indication.
Right.
Okay, so, but again, we go
Trump
through the Canadian default.
Is an acceptable answer for today's purposes.
Yeah. Doesn't change anything, though, right?
No.
Still
the same winner.
Yeah, but it didn't list Junior in that list, though.
No, it didn't.
No, and it also doesn't have LBJ, so I can't imagine modern presidents not being members, but I guess it's possible. I guess Obama probably wasn't. So anyway, we're going to talk about entertainment. Nobody wants to say anything about Matt, so we're going to dig into entertainment. I'll say everything about Matt there.
Well, Matt's awesome.
Okay, I feel like he feels better now. I don't think he's listening though.
Well, anyways. I know he always looks for my approval. So whether it's his Monday night geek show or Wednesday politics and guns or Saturday question show or any of his other 27 shows he does a week.
Well, I think he does 4. It's a good effort.
Yeah, I mean, it's not quite, 5 a week like the Daily Gun Show, but cut him a little slack.
Or anything as monumental as the Early Watch, since we're talking about shows, which is pretty much every morning on Gun Channels. All right, so we're talking about entertainment in the movie theaters from the 1970s. Anyone? Really? Dead air? Dan, are you watching?
Star Wars? 1977?
It's a gun movie.
I was going to say, go ahead and have fun with that one, guys. I never went to a movie theater in the 1970s.
And I saw it in the drive-in.
Check. Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. Death Wish. Night of the Condor. All the Godfathers. Well, at least 2 of them. Several of the James Bondeds. Every Dirty Harry movie that you ever really liked.
And the Westerns.
Yeah. So there's literally a bazillion.
Some of my favorite. The Westerns.
Blazing Saddles, dude. Definitely a gun movie from the 70s.
What? I figured that was the 80s.
That was, Blazing Saddles was 1974.
Yeah.
Holy crap, really? I thought that came out when I was a little
The
kid.
Deer Hunter, 1978. Mean Streets, 1973. Harry was 71. Let's see. Come on, you guys. I'm sure you've seen a movie from the 70s.
Yeah, I'm scrolling through the list of 70s Westerns, and I barely got through 1970, and then I figured out that there's so many of them that the list from 1970 wasn't the whole list from the 70s, but
yeah, no kidding.
70. So yeah, there's a billion of them. I was going to say the cowboy movies, the Westerns from the 70s are awesome because literally them people were still alive from the olden days. Like they were just really old. But there were literally like the little kids in the cowboy days were old people in the 70s. So that had the potential to be as cool as possible. Like the leather from the olden days had not yet deteriorated. They were able to use materials from the olden days. You listen to like Emil Frenzy on Voices of the West when he was on, which he's off the air by the way. I think he came back on briefly, but anyway, just FYI update on it. Anyway, he would talk about how back in the 70s you'd watch a Western, or even worse in the 50s and stuff, you'd watch a Western and they would take like guns that today would be worth $40,000 and they'll like be shooting them off the top of a stagecoach through a creek, throw them off, and they just left them there. You know, they didn't like, oh, that's a dime a dozen. That's why we threw that gun off of there. You know?
Oh man,
it's so rare today. You know? But you watch those movies from the 70s and the what do you call it? Like the scenery and the not the scenery, the costumes and the what do you call like the setting, the what the hell, that echo is driving me nuts. The what do you call like the sets and stuff would all like sometimes even actually be real cowboy towns that hadn't fallen apart completely yet. I mean, that stuff is awesome. Was it Z? Okay. And then you guys are of course muted. So
yeah, no, it was Z. Sorry, I had to go back to this window. Yeah, I don't know. That sounds cool though, as far as like being able to actually be in the place that the story takes place, or you know, be in the town. So
I don't know too many of those, but they would take a old town and film it. I mean, I don't think I can think of any where they actually filmed it in its place.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying, but still, it's still an authentic.
But like, because I mean, like out here in Arizona, for example, somebody would come along and they would find where they think some copper, silver, gold would be, and they'd dig a hole, and then maybe a town would pop up for a little while, and then the vein or whatever would dry out, and then people just move on. So they would just leave those houses there, and sometimes they were not even houses. I mean, depending on how big the town got, they would go from like tents to houses of wood, and then maybe bricks or something if it got big enough. So that's where a couple of those towns where there was like some wood houses still standing, or at least pieces of them, and then some of the brick stuff still there, and it looked super old. Like some of those movies, they would roll up into one of those towns where they just look super old. So I mean, like Tombstone itself, in other words, has been a town ever since. So
if I can mention an iconic movie that no one has mentioned, and that's Apocalypse Now.
Yep, 1979. I was about to. I was just waiting for the Western to settle down with the dust.
About military movies from then. Heck yeah. Well, though,
Taxi Driver.
Till the end of the 70s, they weren't really hardly about now, really.
I think Green Berets kind of came out in the 70s as well.
Yeah, that was semi-World War II propaganda almost.
Deer Hunter?
Previously mentioned.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Is that a good movie? Or is that a pro-gun movie, or is that just that's just?
We didn't say pro-gun movies. It just said gun, or what did it say? Gun movies of the 70s.
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't know. I haven't seen Deer Hunter. Is that the?
You've never seen Deer Hunter?
I might
Never.
have seen once.
Westerns. You include the Dirty Harry series?
Yeah, we did mention that. Man, maybe my mic was off. I don't know.
No, it was on because it picked up the echo, no problem.
Now we've definitely got some sound issues here. I don't know if we're gonna be able to do nothing about this. This might just be the deterioration of Hangouts, because they are talking about disbanding them. So it's possible that they're just not updating them, or maybe they're removing pieces that have done things that we just never saw in the background, as far as like some keeping up with some of this lag and stuff.
Omega Man.
Planet of the Apes, science fiction.
Absolutely. If they were in the 70s,
We
though.
started with Star Wars, though, I guess, right?
Yes.
Well, so we have weird silences and talking over each other today, but I think, like I say, the Westerns from the 70s were awesome because of that. The science fiction from the 70s, it wasn't good compared to now, for sure, as far as visually. But I think preparing for Match Show the other day, it was impossible to come up with a top 10 science fiction movies. It's insane. So I just started with this year and went backwards and was just like jotting down movies that I liked. And that's all I did. I didn't even try to like come up with the best ones or anything. I just went through like this internet list of movies per year and typed in science fiction movies for 1989, 1988, 1987, right? And I would just write down a couple that I liked from that year, or if there were any. There's pretty much always at least some movie from a year that you like. And I came up with like 40 something of them. So there's just, when I was going through there, I was seeing that there's so much of these things that, I don't know, the science fiction, I guess is what I was getting at, was not as good, but as you go backwards in years, the science fiction did get better. Like Star Wars must have opened the doors and let people know, hey, there's interest in this. So then there was a flood of it. So although the science fiction gun stuff wasn't the best movies, period, it was influential, is I guess what I'm getting at. And then
also Dawn of the Dead is in the 70s.
Oh, that's pretty big. And that was the first of the zombie movies, really?
No, that was the first. Excuse me, it wasn't the first color.
Were there guns in there?
Oh, absolutely. That had the Cobra and all kinds of other stuff.
That's the one where they go in the hotel, into the mall.
Oh, excuse me, not the Cobra, the Python. My bad.
Is that the one where they go in the mall? The first one?
Yep. That's so it's basically the second one out of Romero. The first one was Night of the Living Dead, and that's the one in black and white. There were definitely guns at the end of that one. Poor guy.
That's the one I always remember, is the one in black and white.
And then, so this is the one where they did more practical gags, and it was in color, and it was all about, ragging on consumerism of the Western world and stuff like that. There were definitely guns in Dawn of the Dead.
Going through this list, I see stuff like Shaft's Big Score, and
talk about Shaft.
There's some other ones in here. Cleopatra Jones, Coffee. So all those blaxploitation ones.
Absolutely, they had guns on the wide in those.
But
Superfly, all of that.
All these ones where we start talking about like cities and like Dirty Harry and all that. That's my favorite movies. Period. Is like watching the '70s cars and the crazy ass clothes people were wearing, and they drive through like weird neighborhood or whatever, and just seeing the street lights and stuff. I love that stuff. I don't know why, but definitely the '70s movies. They love to add cars to them, so they must have just figured out how to strap cameras to cars or something, because they loved smashing cars up and chasing them around in cities and stuff.
You feel Chinatown is a gun movie?
Barely remember that one.
Jack Nicholson. It's where he gets his nose cut with a switchblade. I think he's a private investigator. It's not like there's a lot of guns in it, but there's guns.
Guns were definitely dealt with differently back then. That's where they got I don't know, it must have become a fad. I don't know, maybe from the cowboy movies, I guess, where guns were like, you could draw the gun and shoot it from your hip and either miss or be dead on, depending on how it needed to be written. But there wasn't a lot of handling or anything. I think occasionally you'd see like a cop movie where they would do something different with a gun, but for the most part, it was all just like, they might as well be picking up staplers or, glasses or something. They were just another prop.
Do you remember The Day of the Jackal, the original?
Some kind of a spy movie from Europe?
Yeah, pretty much. He's like an assassin, but yeah.
Damn, there's a Sonny Chiba movie called The Doberman Cop. I gotta go figure out what this is all about.
Well, then if it's Sonny, it's worth watching at least once.
Looks like it's a manga, though. It's a cartoon. He must have been the voice in it, I guess.
So anyway, back to it. Yeah, there's tons of movies from the 70s that you guys ought to be watching.
Yeah, I guess I'm just scrolling through this list here of tons of them. But yeah, I should have been the Mad Max, 1979. Just squeaked in. Oh, do we even talk about Chuck Norris? I guess his were.
Oh, yeah.
But he was a bunch of movies in the 70s. Bruce Lee.
I don't know. There's an awful lot of silence in this discussion.
Enter the Dragon's another one too, yeah. And there's definitely guns in that one, at least at the end.
Well, a lot of scrolling through and just looking at movies, so I guess we're not doing good for the podcast part of it for sure. So I guess we'll just take a look at the comments.
French Connection, Popeye Doyle.
Star Trek was a Western. I agree. I think so. I would have handled that. You think they ignore the YouTubers? We definitely favor the gun channel side. Actually, I favor whatever side's chatting more. Sometimes the gun channel side sits there, sometimes the YouTube side sits there. I usually go to wherever people are chatting.
Well, Hori is over there on the YouTube side, and he's actually pretty active on sending us emails with suggestions for whether it be the pop quiz or movies or other things.
Diecaster says the 7 Ups. I don't know what that is, if that's a movie or if he's talking about some other thing in the conversation.
It's a movie.
I don't think I've seen that one then. What was the Nicholson movie where he was a border patrol officer?
I think it was called The Border.
Oh, okay.
And that was, I think, from the early 80s. Yeah, that's dude, that movie? I don't know that they could make that movie these days.
The movie with John Wayne that had the MAC-10 was McHugh.
McHugh, yes.
That one's
on the
tough.
beach.
I had to...
suppressed or not suppressed?
Suppressed, yeah.
That's what I thought, yep.
I had to rent that, they had to send me the DVD, so that must have been Netflix had to send me the DVD. I couldn't find McHugh anywhere, any place
for
on
streaming.
Yeah, nobody has it, and I don't know, Amazon might now, but whenever I was trying to watch all the John Wayne movies, that was one of the toughest ones to get a hold of. I don't think he liked it, so I don't think it, or maybe it just didn't do well in the box office or something, so it never got made into DVDs. All right, Dan's taking off.
All right, moving along then.
Do you need to go to gun channels? No, you don't need to go to gun channels, but it does seem like gun channels, for whatever reason, when we embed the video over there, when we do the quizzes and stuff, it seems like they have less lag. I don't know why that would be, but that does seem to happen. All right, and I see Broom. Thanks for posting that on Instagram. Appreciate that. You grabbed a set of the patches. Definitely appreciate that.
Did he use the Homer code?
Yeah, he posted a thing on Instagram with a picture, and he got them because number one, I appreciate the money. That's always awesome. But then when people post pictures like that, it lets me know they get there, because my worst fear is that they're going to get lost somewhere. When they come back, at least I know they came back. But that doesn't happen very often. So I'm always, a little bit wary when I'm sending something off. Those have tracking at least, so I'm not too worried about them. But like I say, it's always nice to see them posted just so I know they get to where they're going. It's weird. Like whenever I send something to Matt, I don't care how much money I spend on postage, they're sending me that thing back. Like the post office people by Matt are just jerks. Like they're just, for some reason, I got a couple of places in the country like that I don't know, they just get.
Like no matter what you do, you need 5 more cents.
Seriously, I've done it with Matt one time. I think I've talked about this before. I sent it to him in a regular envelope like I send to everybody, twice as much postage as I need to put on it. And 88 cents or whatever when it's really less than an ounce. But because there's some bulk to it, I always put double the postage on. So basically 2 stamps. It comes back. I sent it back with 3 stamps. I basically took the 2-stamp envelope with the canceled thing on it, folded it in half, put it in another envelope with 3 stamps on it, sent it right back. It comes back. So I took that envelope, folded it in half, put it in an envelope with 3 stamps on it again, and it went through. It's just like I wasn't working that day, I guess.
Yeah, that's crazy. But anyways, yeah, posting pics when you get stuff is cool. And I know if I can speak out to the Patreons of Daily Gun Show, if you're, the sticker level or the patch level or whatever, if you get something in the mail, pop up a picture on Instagram and, tag Daily Gun Show and, whatever else you feel like tagging. It's always nice to see.
And moving along.
I would say at this point we can dig into one of the daily topics.
Well, we only have one left. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Any? Let's go to gun shop. Oh, or we could do that. Is that Chuck Norris and Lee Marvin coming over the hill? I think it is.
It's a dune buggy and a bunch of motorcycles.
With rockets and machine guns on them and those cool blue lights.
All right, so that it is in time. It is in fact time for the tactical quiz. So I ditched out of here because he doesn't like to be around for it. This is the time that everyone waits for all week long, and
It's quiz shaming. That's why
our numbers come up to the maximum levels on Wednesdays, and it's because of this tactical quiz. So today we've been doing things in the past with the audio and with people sending in emails. We want to keep doing that. We don't want to keep doing that so that it offends the people that are listening live. So this one will be for the live listeners on both the YouTube side or the Gun Channel side. But like we talked about a moment ago, you might want to jump over to Gun Channels just to be able to capitalize on the lack of lag. Today it's a simple one, potentially. It's a small question, and it's open-ended, so very much taking a cue from Dano. I don't even know what the answers are, but we'll figure them out. Anyway, it'll be the first one to answer correctly with two answers in the same line. So none of this like type it once and then wait a while and type it a second time. That doesn't count. It has to be answer, comma, second answer. So everybody ready? Is that clear enough? We're going to ask a question. There's going to be multiple answers to it. You're going to pick two of those answers and type them in, and we're going to be watching both Gun Channels and the YouTube side for the first correct answer. Is that clear? Does that make sense?
don't know the question or the answers, but yes, we'll make it happen.
We'll make it happen. So here's the question. Name two of the songs that we've played on the Daily Gun Show before. Not the entire songs, but even just a segment of a song. We've played songs before. Sometimes we get dinked. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we play them during
Band or song? Actual song.
the name of the song, I guess, right?
Okay. All right. All right.
Or the
Technically,
band.
that's
I don't
what
really
you do.
care. Name two of the songs / bands that we've played during the show. Period. Then you'd have a whole year's worth. So
Yeah, that's gonna be tough, G.
if you're fast, you go back.
Actually, it's not that tough.
Just
It's going to be tough for us to remember. I don't know if I know any of the right answers. I can think of one off the top of my head.
It's the perfect time. They're going to type it here, and we get to verify if we remember it or not. So yeah, works out perfect. We don't even.
So that's really the thing.
In the Ghetto, Battle of New Orleans. Boom.
Technically, I think that's correct because wasn't that on your
Yeah, we used the
gun
in the
tactical
quiz one.
quiz or whatever?
Yeah. Oh wait, I guess I haven't been watching the YouTube side.
Yeah,
Nothing on the YouTube side. So yeah, I think we're giving that one to Matt.
Matt.
No.
Followed by Angry American though. He was next. But yeah, Matt definitely won that.
I was gonna say what was the song we played yesterday or whatever it was, but then I figured that required somebody to have listened yesterday, so this opens it up to anybody. We got some answers coming in on the YouTube side now, but unfortunately, way after the YouTube ones. So, do I still have the link up here? I think I do. As a winner of the tactical quiz, you can jump over. Actually, who won that?
Matt.
All right, so Matt, feel free to use the, you're totally familiar with the form we have over there, but I am going to separate the tactical quiz patch panel from the quiz, the daily pop quiz patch panel. So don't feel obligated to go fill it out right now. Wait a couple hours or a day or something. Whenever I get the new thing up there, we'll mention it on the show, and then go over there and grab one. For two reasons. One, I want to put special patches up there that we can use for the Patreon people too, and then to give them something different on the tactical quiz than the pop quiz. And also the pop quiz one is getting full, so we need more room. So we're gonna have to have a second panel to choose
Nice.
from. All right, so that was the tactical quiz, and we'll continue to work on that. I guess it was also a good time to talk about, I'm gonna go ahead and update this. That was Matt G, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and update this tally because we've been tallying everything up. Everything actually is sent out as of today, technically, because I don't think Sean picked nothing yesterday. But we have the what do they call people that are winning? The winners? They're not winners because it's not over, but what do you call the people that are in the lead of the sport? Or,
Front runners?
We have the front runners. So we have Matt, who just achieved the third place with 26 wins on the tactical quiz or pop quiz. We've got Angry American, just one win ahead of them at 27. And then for number 1, we had somebody who was a drummer, could already have anticipated this and done a drum roll. We have Sean Ponnery with 30, who just reached 30 yesterday.
And I have noticed that some of these people that are sending in emails and basically discounting themselves from being able to answer some of their own questions.
Yeah, Angry's a real sportsman. He sent in a bunch of questions. He's not scared.
Yep.
So Sean, Mr. Oracle, why don't you think up some questions and send them to the Daily Gun Show email?
Dana would really appreciate that.
I thought he has, hasn't he? Or does he just do it for the early watch?
Well, I don't know. He might have. I just wanted to shame him a little bit more.
Exactly, dude. We're just trying to help Dan.
Over on YouTube, Sean says, "I just need 28 more to take the lead."
Yes, that's 1 month. 1 month worth of efforts, and you could be taking this all home.
Well, especially if you're winning the daily and the tactical. I mean, you could even catch up a little faster.
We should make the tactical quiz worth like 5 pop quizzes. I never even thought about doing that. Weighting them.
Wow. Well, and I have to admit, usually, I don't think I've ever heard the tactical quiz answer be windbreaker before. So I'm going to say that they are slightly more difficult and potentially multiple answer questions.
Oh, there's been weeks that people haven't even won because no one can step up to the plate and get all the answers.
I think like 5 times already or something like that.
Oh, easy, I think.
All right, so now we're going to keep going with the show because at some point Matt will be sending us links to his show. We're going to talk about a gun shop. Every day we like to talk about a gun shop, and today this week we're talking about some that we visited on that trip in 2012 when we drove all around the country. And today we're talking about Outpost Armory, and eventually my thing will open up here. Oh, I guess I could screen share this as well because I do have some pictures of this one. I do. And this one is in Tennessee. Yep. So Outpost Armory is the gun shop for Barrett. So if I could zoom out from this building right here, and because right now I'm standing in a parking lot. If I was standing this far away behind me, I'd be standing in the highway. And if I was standing that far away, you'd see the Barrett building. It's like over here somewhere. It's really close. So this is sort of like out front of it. And then it's a pretty nice shop. So it's a big standalone place, and it's like a big L shape or maybe a T shape or something. It's not a just boring ass Cabela's or whatever, they're just a giant, well, not a Cabela's. The Sportsman's Warehouse are just square boxes. Popular, just square boxes. They can be anywhere. Cabela's, I guess, put some effort into making their place look neat. This place I thought did a good job without going crazy and wasting a bunch of money on the place. It's a nice looking place and it's huge. So you go in there and I guess it's kind of like a big letter T. And one wing of the T or whatever is the guns. And this is a pretty good idea of how many guns are in there, a bunch. And the kind of place with enough variety that they have all the models, so you don't have to guess, like, is the next, is the C better than the S, or is the other trigger better than this? Like, they have them both. So that's pretty nice. This would have been like the center and the other section. I guess I didn't go over to the reloading section, but plenty of ammo. And this was in 12 where there wasn't exactly a shortage, but it wasn't exactly plentiful either. I think 9, it was kind of scarce at the time.
It was before stuff went cuckoo.
Before it went completely insane, but I think 22 was already getting to be a thing, and 9 was kind of weird. So I remember seeing the ammo and taking some pictures because they had ammo. This is the north little T section or whatever, and it's holsters and gear, CCW stuff, range stuff.
Some clothing, it looks like. Dano's vest.
Yeah, lots of windbreakers, of course, but the stuff you need to. This is a big hunting area, I'm sure. So the hunting and taking it to the range.
Oh, truly.
And then, like, say, your ammo and then your guns. So not wasting a bunch of time with garbage, but a pretty decent selection of stuff too. And if I remember right, they had a good selection of knives and optics. Now, to be fair, this was, I'm pretty sure, right after they opened the doors, so it wasn't around for a long time. So there's some amount of, when somebody invests this kind of money into a shop, they buy they fill the store, right? So over time, if it stays with that kind of selection, isn't necessarily the case.
No, you were saying it's the Barrett gun shop almost, right?
I don't know if they're actually affiliated, but yeah, they're next to each other.
Okay, so my next line of baloney is, so does that mean that you could take a Barrett out for a test drive on property?
Oh no, Barrett is the most secure facility I've been in. I've been in big.
Well, how is there not a range to be able to go shoot one at the gun shop for Barrett is what I'm getting at, man.
No, I'm saying they're not affiliated with each other. They happen to physically be
located
right next to each other. But Barrett, of course, has a range, but you don't get to just walk into Barrett. Barrett.
Oh, see, I thought. No, I'm sorry, dude. I totally thought you were saying like this is basically the Barrett gun shop or whatever, and I was thinking how cool that was. I didn't realize it's just occupying part of the same space or whatever. I thought they were totally.
They're just together. That light pole might be on the Barrett property. I mean, they're right next to each other. I don't think they're affiliated with each other, but it's not like anything in here has anything to do with Barrett. It's just a gun shop. But I don't know. I'm just saying they do have Barretts and stuff.
Well, I get it now. Yeah, I totally misunderstood. I'm like, man, that would be the place you would go to literally. Oh, I want to try that one. Can you pull that one off the wall? Okay, let's go right on over here, and we're gonna send a few down range. I mean, so now that you explained it to me a different way, I totally understand that I'm mistaken.
I think it's just a shop too. At least I didn't see a range there when I was there, so I don't know if there's a range there. I don't think there's a range. I guess I click on this link to find out.
Tony says that I think he did a video on it, and he says they still have a bunch of guns there, and he thinks you can rent one there as well, which is nice.
So they must have a range then. Firing range memberships. Yep, I just didn't see it, so it must have been in the back, or we weren't there forever. All right. So Tony, Artisan Tony, you mean?
Yes, sir. Artisan Tony on the YouTube side.
Right on. Yeah, he's just down the street from there. Well, hours down the street from there, but pretty close. So right on. So anyway, we try to hit a gun shop every day. If you've got a gun shop that you're fond of or that you think is unique or interesting, remember that you got a camera in your pocket. That phone that you carry around every day. It's a pretty nice camera. Almost every single gun shop I go to, and I ask them if it's okay to take some pictures for the internet, they say sure. So do that. And then once you got those pictures, put them on, share them with people on Facebook or Instagram, on your YouTube or your blog or whatever it is you might be doing. Or if you haven't done any of that stuff yet, consider doing it. Share your gun shop. If you're like me, I live in town with 16 gun shops, and I bet you're not going to find but a couple of them on the internet if you looked. Most of the shops just don't care, or they don't understand, or they don't think they have the money to help to do it. And who cares? If you've got a camera and you've got a Facebook account, you can help your shop out. You can take a couple of pictures, let people know they're there. You'd be surprised how many people might follow you for your, I don't know, goat raising or something, and then they find out that you're interested in guns and that that's a local gun shop, and they didn't know about it. So maybe it's somebody who you know from church or school or work or something, and they're just following your Facebook because they're friends of yours, and they're deciding to buy their first firearm, and because of your post, they not only can ask you questions about it and you can help them out, but they also know about a shop, so you're helping your shop out. So we highly encourage you to do that, and then whenever you do that, let us know, and then we'll help spread the word as well on this segment of the show every single day. All right, so that'll take us to the gun movie.
Sounds right.
Well, if we're going to go to the gun movie, then I think I better click this button and this button and this button and suggest everyone go grab maybe some popcorn, some non-gluten, unsalted, raw vegan popcorn, and
butter and salt,
some cold water, and watch today's movie of the day, at least a couple of moments of it. Probably one of the coolest things that you're going to see from the early 80s.
Anyone seen a go? No. Right, hold me, boys.
Look out, I'm gonna go.
I can run fast if I want to.
down a little, Peter. Come on, man, move your ass!
Well, that dude's hardcore in other movies too, from the 70s and 80s.
Peter, so, you all right?
All right. So that's a piece of the movie called, what the hell they call it? It's called Final Option, but in Europe they call it Who Dares Wins. So you might have to look for it under Who Dares Wins if you're looking for the DVD or something. But it's on Amazon. I'm pretty sure it's on Amazon right now. Under Who Dares Wins. But you can also probably find it under Final Option. Anyway, imagine minding your business watching TV back in the 80s, and then this comes on the HBO. Boom! This is the best movie ever. You guys don't remember watching
You're
this
like,
movie?
they're a bunch of limeys.
Hell no. This was better than SWAT. Until this, SWAT was all there was. The SWAT TV show. That was it. You didn't get this
Never mind.
jumping out of airplanes and helicopters and fast roping. That stuff, I mean, maybe in a movie once in a while, like briefly, but there was nothing about it. I remember this thing just being so cool, being the SAS and the...
Did we ever do the Sea Wolves?
Huh?
Did we ever do the Sea Wolves?
That's World War II, though, I thought.
But I mean, it's still a gun movie from the 70s is what I was thinking.
Oh. I'm not sure if we've done Seawolves, though, actually, as a gun movie. This is definitely not the 70s. This was like 1982 or something. But 1982 might as well be.
But I would definitely check it out, just on what I saw there and your recognition. I mean, the dude runs pretty well in dress slacks and shoes. He was slightly distracted by the beauty of the lady, and that's going to get you killed, but okay.
No, that's the lady's nailing. It's a cool movie, and there's twists to it, and it's also good. So it's not just like an action movie. It was also not. Again, it's a long time then. There's a lot of time has passed in other movies with interesting plot twists have come along, but there is some fun. The plot is interesting in this one, and I find it. I had to watch it a few times before I figured out everything that was going on, because it's maybe because it's English or something. I'm not used to their things and the way they say things or whatever. But anyway, the plot was interesting enough that it wasn't just your typical big budget action movie or whatever, but the action stuff in it was awesome. And then again, if you put it back in the setting to the early 90s or early 80s when it came out and when we were seeing it on HBO, man, it was awesome. It was like some of the coolest stuff back then, and different than Chuck Norris or whatever else was our option.
Right on. Yeah, it definitely went on the list for me.
All right, so that's Final Option, and I guess we're going to go into Gun of the Day, which I guess I should have just kept screen sharing.
Sure.
Open it first. We're doing this week a series. We're doing bullets of the week today, right? That's what we've been doing this week.
Yes, bullets of the day.
And what are we doing today? Chinese 9mm. So,
what is this 9mm week?
I'll be caliber shamed if I don't include the weakest of caliber.
So, like what? You load your magazine and half an hour later it's empty, and you're gonna refill it? What? I don't understand.
Well, what's going on with my internet today?
All right, welcome to another bullet of the day. We tried to make.
This was again one of the series from when I was doing a bullet of the day over there, and this is my box of Norinco, steel cased China 9mm. So you ever seen this stuff?
Never heard of her.
I saw it in your video.
Brass
I've never
case,
seen
right?
it in the wild.
It's not steel case, brass case. But I thought it was neat. I've had it for a long time, and I don't shoot it, obviously. And it's just weird. It's in that weird plastic for no reason. And like, oh, let's put a dust cover on it. Like, I don't know what they were thinking. And then...
moisture, dude. That's to keep the moisture out.
Possibly, like in the boat, you mean, on the way over?
Or just in general, it's to keep moisture down, right?
I guess. I don't know. I think it would keep moisture trapped in just as much, don't you think? It's not like sealed or anything. It just sort of fits on there. But I definitely have other types of calibers, I guess, maybe even 9 that are steel. I thought this one was steel. But just think it's neat when you see the old, it looks like a 7.62 by 39 box. Or at least that's what I'm used to seeing in that particular box, right? That China Sports thing. Yeah.
So obviously there are a few rounds out of that box. Can you tell us your shooting impressions of however many rounds you ended up shooting?
I don't think I ever shot that. That's just how I got it. I just think I've got that somewhere because it was a partial box. More than likely that was.
Oh, okay.
gun shop, and I said, "Can I have this?" And they went, "Yeah," because it's Chinese ammo. Nobody wants it, so yes. And then I just stuck it in the shelf with my other ammo, mainly because it says China Sports on it, and it looks like a box of 7.62 by 39.
I would like to put the challenge out there to anybody on YouTube and or gun channels right now. If you have shot the China Sports brand of ammo, do us a favor. Make a comment, send us an email or something, dailygunshow@gmail.com.
Tony's saying he's heard that the jacket is welded to the case. So,
wow, that is so much extra, like, labor, right? You know what I mean? Like, those would be expensive, and I mean,
only if your worker's time is valuable to you.
Okay, now that's an arguable point, but since we are talking about China, it's a very apropos point.
But
Tony was joking. Okay.
I'm sure that it was made in a different way than other ammo, though. I mean, it probably was very labor intensive as far as, I'm sure it wasn't as automated, just because it seems like almost backwards when I see pictures of the AK factories from China. I would only assume they're ammo factories in the same way. As opposed to not having a bunch of carts and people, it's like everything's made out of wood and it's just like smaller buildings and people move everything around instead of what do they call them?
I mean, if it wasn't, ancient Chinese secret or something like that, I would like to see a picture of what a Chinese AK or ammo or small arms factory actually, size wise, because I know in Russia, they're almost like talking, it's like the town, and that's the town that does all that, does one part or does one type or something like that. I'm imagining in China, it's almost the same setup.
But smaller scale. So yeah,
right.
You look at the factories in Russia, those are factories from the earliest days of creating cannons. So those people, those families, those peoples have been building guns and cannons and artillery and everything else forever. So yeah, those towns have built up around the factories that were for the Tsars, right, first, and then for the...
Yep.
So
Bolsheviks next, and then for the commies after that.
Yeah, and then, so, that was like a whole thing. So very similar in China. I'm sure it was the people who were producing for swords for the whoever, and then for the next...
Well, in China is even crazier because they had, civilization or whatever for several thousand years, and it took on several different iterations over the times that they were either occupied by a different force and stuff like that. And then it got to be China's another one. It changed from China last emperor to what was it? Went to Mao's. No, it didn't go to Mao. It went to oh man, what's the dude's name? Because he was the first one, and then he basically left when Mao Zedong came into power. There was the one guy that was in between, the last emperor, and then it was, and I want to say Ho Chi Minh or something, and then it was Mao Zedong after that. And that's another one where, like you said, some of those towns had been building arms and or cannon or whatever for borderline hundreds of years almost.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, in China, instead of being a massive factory to accomplish, a bunch of products coming out the other end, it would be just a village, a bunch of little houses, and people would have big room with a table in it. And I'm looking online for pictures right now. I'm not finding any. The pictures that I have seen, which are, like you say, not very often, there was pictures in Small Arms Review magazine, and I saw pictures in Small Arms Review magazines, a picture of somebody holding a Small Arms Review magazine that had pictures. So it was showing you that the pictures existed, but it was so small you couldn't tell what the pictures were. And then I think I've subsequently, or since then, seen the actual issue, and it was somebody back in the day, years ago, went to China, a long time ago, went to China and was granted access into a factory. Here's a picture.
And thank you, Raphael. Yes, Chiang Kai-shek was the intermediate guy before Mao Zedong. Thank you. Thank you. Because I was just hearing something on the radio about those guys. So many mahalos.
So this is the closest thing I can find to like a picture of one of those pictures. But you know, see what I'm saying? This is like, look at that. That's all a bunch of hand guards. In like a Russian factory, that'd be on some kind of like metal thing with like 6 people in aprons pushing them around in factory.
And a huger room too, yeah? Like a huge room.
Like garage and like, you know, sitting on a bunch of weird ottomans and stuff. Like, I don't know, it just seems like more rustic or something. So this is color. So I don't know, this might actually be, and that's from Guns and Ammo, it says.
Well, on way more smaller scale, like you're talking, clearly, I guess.
That's more like that is ISMASH, so, or IJVAC. So that's what an AK factory looks like in Russia. A bunch of old Russian women working in the factory.
Well,
anyway.
G, do you remember the one, and I might be reaching here, but I think I shared with you a video, and it was in Russian, and it was like from a Russian news story, and it was on the AK, I think, and it was how they test for like cold and sand and everything like that, and it was almost like a puff piece for the AK, and it was, but what the great thing was is like you got to see like almost how it's built at an AK factory in Russia.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly the one you're talking about, but that was very much like what you'd call like the propaganda, like the company.
It's a puff piece for the AK for sure, you know.
I mean, it's literally from the factory. Like if they're trying to sell their stuff to somebody, either their products or they're like, let us bid on your new product or whatever. Like that's the kind of thing they'll show them. Like this is how good our product is. So I've seen that really the same thing, almost the same verbiage even, but made in different years. So I've seen different versions of it. So it's like must be like if you're an ambassador or somebody, you know, and you're taking a tour of the factory, that's like the stuff they would show you. Like that's what they do for people.
So he's just making magazines. He's literally got a case or a box of magazines he's making.
He's spot welding lips on there, it looks like.
Oh, okay.
He's putting these 3 spot welds to put them lips up on there.
And that's one where literally he pushes the foot pedal down and it drops it like a drill bit, even though it's the welder, right? So it literally just does bing, bing, bing. Like every time he steps on a pedal or something, I think it brings it down, don't it?
Yeah, this goes up, this goes down onto that other one, and it just pinches it between these 2 little electrodes.
Okay, yeah.
And I don't know what's going on here. Probably tubes of some sort doing something.
Well, that would be the potential gas or electricity.
I don't know what this guy's doing. Jamming them. So maybe this is some kind of fixture that tells them if they're aligned right or something.
I wonder how long ago this article was.
Yeah, it says touring AK-40, the Chinese. No, this is something else, right? But this says, here's, nope, what the hell happened? I can't do it that way. I have to do it this way. It says touring a Chinese AK-47 factory. So no more help than that. And it's already been edited, so it's probably not this trick. Well, it was posted.
Well, I bet if you typed in the Guns and Ammo magazine, Chinese AK factory or something, like something's going to come up.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's off topic though, so I'm going to end that one there. And we're losing viewers, so people don't care about Chinese ammo factories, I don't think.
Well, we took it from bullet to the day, and then Chinese factory, and a little bit of a history lesson on chain of command or whatever.
Happens.
So, yeah, it does. Let's go to healthy tip.
So every day we'll try to remind everybody that the most important part of the gun is the part that pulls the trigger. So with that in mind, we have a healthy tip. Today it's adrenaline. Increased levels of adrenaline in your blood signal your liver to break down something, glycogen, the substance that provides your muscles with glucose, the primary source of fuel for your body. So what are we trying to say there? So then knowing that, I guess, you want to deal with that. So you want to train with some amount of adrenaline in you.
Well,
you want to do things that create adrenaline so that you're used to being in that state. Same way.
Glucose, sucrose, fructose, that's all sugar, right? So you're talking blood sugar and sugar in your blood, in your body or whatever. So what they're saying is increased levels of adrenaline help utilize that energy instead of just allowing it to turn to fat. So basically, they're almost saying that exercise, which creates the adrenaline, right? Then tells your liver to break down the sugar, which then provides your muscles with energy, basically.
Well, I guess that's one way of looking at it. I guess it's really just describing what adrenaline does, like how it works in your guts or in your body. So that's one way of perceiving it, right? If you are doing something, then that'll create, it'll tell your body, don't store that, use that. And I guess adrenaline is the thing that does it. Like I said, I guess I looked at it from the angle of, what can you do knowing that when you're under stress, you're gonna have the effects of adrenaline. What can you do when it's not consequential to simulate or get the effects of adrenaline happening to you? And I think that could just be doing stuff like playing Frisbee or going out and, I don't know, just doing stuff that, gets you out of your comfort zone and, gets you doing something different or something that you have to keep, fast paced that you have to keep up with. Playing tennis or something.
Well, at least in like the training point of view, even just doing like under a timer or whatever, like as soon as that beep goes off, like you get a little shot of adrenaline. So if
you're adding that artificial stress, right?
Right. Yeah, I don't know if playing Frisbee really gets your adrenaline going. I'm certainly not.
They probably frown on that at the range, but that's just my opinion.
Well, no, I'm trying to say that there's got to be things that people would include into their overall routine of life to learn how to deal with adrenaline, because Smeggy's example there, yeah, sure, there's some adrenaline. I guess standing up in front of a bunch of people or don't know and having to perform might create adrenaline, but those are such little trickles of adrenaline or such like short bursts of anticipated adrenaline that, think about how many strategies there are for competitors to deal with that adrenaline. It's something that can be dealt with. It's something that can be overcome. So
the good ones will want to harness that and utilize it to their benefit.
Well, all right, but I'm just saying it's not like it's not like skydiving or something where, that's adrenaline, or base jumping or something. I'm just saying there's other things you could do, I'm sure, that would get you to a prolonged adrenaline.
Surfing big waves, skiing down the side of a mountain.
I don't play sports, but I was just using Frisbee as an example that, like, just getting out and running around and having a bunch of Frisbees thrown around is going to keep your mind. You're going to look like Hillary Clinton when she sees a bunch of balloons, right? You're going to be like, oh, like that's going to keep your mind going. I guess it'd be the same as playing like football or something that's a fast-paced type of game, right?
No, usually with Frisbee, you can just stand there and throw the Frisbee to the other person, but I hear what you're saying.
Well, all right, I guess
I hear what you're saying.
Game of Frisbee. I don't go around doing these things, but I'm just trying to maybe go play Frisbee with their dog or 16 dogs, and then you're going to have a lot of adrenaline going because you're going to have dogs running all around doing all kinds of things.
You're going to have lots of fines for that leash law.
You can go play Frisbee in traffic, and then you got all kinds of things to stimulate.
Well, if that's the case, why don't you just take a long walk off a short pier? I'm sure that'll provide you with all the adrenaline you might need.
And tomorrow's healthy tip of the day is don't play in traffic.
But maybe seriously, just going down. I was downtown this morning, just today. I'm going to eat downtown, middle of Tucson, which is tiny compared to some of y'all's towns. But for me, it was like big city. So,
don't you have 1 million people or whatever? You keep saying that Tucson is small. Isn't it like 1 million people?
It doesn't matter. There's.
Oh, okay.
There's. I can't even imagine. It's got to be anywhere near the top anything city in the country. So I'm just saying, there's places that most people that are listening to us can go that are going to have a lot of stimulus. And I guess all I'm saying is going somewhere where there's a lot of stuff going on. If that's not your normal routine, like mine, I don't normally have, hundreds of people running all around making noises and doing stuff. To me, that was, a different type of stimulus. So I would assume that got my adrenaline going. And that's all I'm saying, is maybe there's other ways that you can, get prepared or simulate that adrenaline rush. All I'm saying is that we all know we're going to get a massive adrenaline rush if something ever happens, and who wants that to be your first time to deal with it? You end up blabbing a bunch. You end up, having that come down off of it, and that's when you start telling witnesses and the police and everybody else everything you never thought about. And something as simple as that. You want to acknowledge or have some experience what it's like to have that amped up feeling, and then the sink from it or the coming down from that isn't the first time you're having to do that in a really important time or a really crucial time for you. All right, well, there's dead air too. So we'll just keep going with, do we have anything else?
Go to Gun Channels Today. Let's see, Gun Channels Today. We have our show right now. We have Matt's coming up in a few moments. It is, we think it's in 22 minutes. Is that correct? Top of the hour, we're thinking?
No, he normally does it like
10
10 o'clock Eastern, but he's been starting at like 9:30 Eastern. So,
So almost just less
like
than an hour.
hour-ish from now.
Okay.
Probably.
All right. And then other than that, on Wednesday, we Like Shooting has one tonight as well, I believe. And then there's always Jimmy James making it happen tomorrow morning, early watch. And then basically that's Gun Channels Today for today, I guess.
Sounds good. So that sounds like the where we're going to wrap up episode 253, and we're doing it right about 99 minutes.
Yep, right around there.
We like to be right around 99 minutes. So unless somebody else has anything else, I guess we'll say thanks again to the people that participate in the tactical quiz, to Sean, Ingrid, and Matt for participating so much that you've got a pretty interesting three-way battle going. And everyone can have fun with that. So to appreciate that. They're not the only ones. There are a couple of people we'll have to go through and round up who like the next level are, the next like batch. And they're by no means the only people participating, but it is neat to see them having so much fun with it. So thanks to those people and thanks to those three, and then the other people that join in with the tactical quizzes each day and listen to the show live. We do appreciate it. And we also put out there, we don't do it enough. If you know somebody that's interested or that might be interested in something like this, send them a link. We did move to the new time, so maybe it's possible they'd enjoy listening to us live, and that would give us some encouragement. And we'll see you tomorrow.
And as we end the show, we'd like to give a chance to do one final quote of the day. Today it looks like it's from Aaron Canales. And the quote itself is, let's see. If you teach your kids how to shoot, when to shoot, what to shoot, and where to shoot, freedom will easily be maintained. So definitely thanks to everybody out there for participating both on YouTube and Gun Channels and potentially in the podcast at a later point in time. We definitely appreciate all of the participation. If you do have any suggestions, please send it over to dailygunshow@gmail.com. If you do have the time, please like, share, and subscribe. And again, aloha to everybody. Take care.
The guys and gals of gunwebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thanks for watching gunwebsites.com.